What up though? This is your boy Beezy430. Starting my new video series, my new classic hip hop album reviews. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and also for those who participated, thank you for voting. I think it was like almost close to about over 1,500 votes. I think I got out of this. So, and I just want to say thank you guys for voting. You know, as you know, I'm pretty sure the title shows that I am doing, for this month of January, my classic hip-hop album review I'm going to review. And today is none other than dun, 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 dun. Yes, this is like my original like CD booklet when I got the CD. You know what I'm saying? Like this is CD, man. I don't know, you can tell the scratches is all messed up on this bad boy from me playing this album to death, but you know, like I don't have the actual case because I have a CD book, so I got the this is like my original CD when I purchased it and all that other good stuff. And also I recently found the vinyl and copped it on vinyl as well. You know, gotta keep the classics and vinyls, man. So you know there it is. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Got the classic Outkast Aquemini. So that's what I will be reviewing today for classic hip hop album reviews. So, September 29th, 1998. Pretty important date in hip-hop. You know, hip-hop history. We had the release of Aquemini. Also had two other noticeable hip-hop album releases also on that same day, which was Tribe Called Quest, The Love Movement, and Jay-Z's Hog Not Life Volume 2. So, that day you had three hip-hop albums that like had everybody tripping, because you know at that time that was Quest's last album, you know, so everyone was anticipating getting that and checking that out, supporting them as they supposedly their last go around at the time. Then you had Jay-Z Hard Knock Life Volume 2, which was an album that pretty much propelled him to mainstream status. And you have Outkast Aquemini, which is, you know, you can now look back and say this is a classic album, because you know it was also a transition time for Outkast too, because you know at first with their first two albums with Southern Playlistic, Cadillac Funky Music, and ATLiens, Organized Noise was mainly known for, you know, handling most of the production on their albums. With this one, they only handled 4 out of the 16 tracks. Organized Noise only did 4, as in Andre 3000 himself was working with the production of this album a lot more, working with live instrumentation a lot more, working with musicians, you know, like real musicians. So you know, this album, I can admit, when I first listened to this album back in September of '98, I was a little taken back. I was like, man, this is such a different sound, a different direction for Outkast, that at first I didn't receive it as well. I wasn't saying like, oh, this was whack. It was one of those albums where I was like, man, I gotta get used to this, or you know, I have to kind of like get used to this, where they was going. So you know, and of course Aquemini is pretty much a mixture of Big Boys, which is Aquarius, and Andre 3000s, which is Aquemini. So you know, I kind of get the little zodiac. I kind of go with the astrology type of twist of a title. So I thought that was interesting. I think the album artwork on this, I think is clearly. I mean, I think Outkast during that time, especially with ATLiens and Aquemini, was definitely like one of my favorite artworks. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I think the concept of the artwork flow with the music. Well, you know how sometimes when you look at album covers and you be like, well, I know for me at least, I look at the album cover and I'd be like, well, where musically direction they gonna go with this? So listening to the album as a whole, and then like because you know, as you listen to the album, you're going through the booklet and you looking at stuff and everything. You see Andre. Look, you can tell this was an album where Andre 3000 was really kind of going way off as far as what we used to see him from the Southern Playlistic 93, 94 days. So, but yeah, starts off with Return to the G, which, if you don't know, Jay Dilla flipped that sample too, man. I thought when I heard it, because Doom, what was that, Gunzilla on Ears, with MF Doom flipped that Jay Dilla beat, and Jay Dilla had it on the Phantom of the Sixth. instrumental beat tape that unreleased, like an underground beat tape of Jay Dilla's. That same sample, Jay Dilla flipped that sample back like in 2005, 2004, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think I might have the years a little off. But yeah, Return to G, man. I thought it was a great way introduction wise for that album, man, because you know, you listen to Andre 3000 verse, he kills it, you know, turn to the gangster, thankster, you know. That was the first time really hearing, I ain't gonna say first time, that's when you really, this was the album when you can really propel Andre 3000 on the plateau of, like, okay, I gotta start putting him in the top tier MCs list once you talk about Andre 3000, because, you know, you could tell he was a little frustrated with, I guess, the way people was receiving his changing of styles, I guess, on that particular track. You know, saying like, man, is he gay? Is he on drugs? Da 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 da. And Andre like, well, no, I'm in the best shape. I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. So you know, you can hear that frustration on Return to G, which I thought was so dope. And Big Boy definitely. If people question Big Boy, like, can he hold his own with Andre? This album was definitely an album that Big Boy can hold his own. He proved throughout this album that he can hold his own with Andre, and he's just not no slouch. You know what I'm saying? Like, people always be like, Andre 3000 and Big Boy. Even though I personally like Andre 3000 more than Big Boy, but this album was definitely, you can tell they was both, they was really comfort with this, they was in their comfort zone with this album. Then you got to Rosa Parks. You know, good thing I liked about this album is that, you know, if this was your first time listening to Outkast and knowing that they're from the South, Rosa Parks was such, and of course, you know, it was such a southern influential with that guitar lick, man. That shit, it was so up-tempo. After you coming from Return to Gangsta, you went to Rosa Parks, which was just so up-tempo and so southern and so funky at the same time, man. Like, that's one thing I loved about this album. Or that was one thing that grew on me about this album, was the fact that they was so funky, but they was different, but they was still southern. They was still southern roots. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still felt like a southern Outkast album, which that's what you can appreciate. And I think Organized Noise produced that particular track, which was, you know, I think that was like one of their lead singles. Rosa Parks was one of their lead singles for this album, coming off into the album. So I thought that was definitely dope, man. And then Skewed on the Barbie. This was really interesting because you have to think, you know, 1998 was definitely sort of like a trend. It was a weird transition years for hip hop. Like, after like 97. Like 98 through like the 2000, 2001, it was like a weird like type of hip hop. Hip hop was in this like a weird space. I can't explain it, but I mean, I can't really pinpoint exactly what it was, but it was like a weird space during that time, because you know that's when that second half of the golden era was kind of coming to an end from 96, 97, and then you had like this weird, it was just a weird period. So you know, 98, it was interesting hearing someone like a Wu-Tang artist from a Wu-Tang group, Raekwon, a New York cat, featured on a southern, you know, hip hop album. You know, because at that time, especially in the 90s, from most New York cats I know, they always looked down on Southerners. You know what I'm saying? Even Outkast got booed at the '95 Source Awards when the quote, infamous quote, the famous quote that Andre 3000 said, "The South got something to say." And you know, it just seemed like so I think that was a big collaboration back then. At that time, to have a New York cat, you know, featuring on a down south, you know, a southern album, which, you know, at the time that was kind of like, maybe now it seemed cool, it's like dope, but like back then it was like, when you look at the track list, you like, Raekwon, damn, featuring on the Outkast album, like that's really interesting. So, you know, and I thought Raekwon, I thought that I was a little worried. I came from, when I first saw that, I was a little worried because I didn't know how, you know, the style of Raekwon with the style of Outkast and the way Musical Today was going with this album, how that was gonna fit. But you know what? It actually fit. It actually, you know, Raekwon actually did a good job of not sounding too out of place on that joint. I think they picked the perfect beat for that. You know, it wasn't too funky, too southern-ish. It's kind of had like a good, I guess a good traditional hip hop sound to it. You know what I'm saying? But I thought Raekwon did a good job with his flow, man. I thought he rode the beat very well, and I was like, holy shit. So yeah, Skewed on the Barbie was definitely one of them surprise tracks for me, because I was worried when I first saw the track listed on it. And then next you have easily not only my favorite track on the album, but probably one of my favorite Outkast. It's probably top two favorite Outkast song like ever. And I can't even list what I would rank it as far as like my favorite hip hop songs ever. But Aquemini, Now that was the song, me personally, that was the song where I was like, this dude, Andre 3000, is on another level. Like, this dude, for him to like use, I guess, his Gemini zodiac sign and play it as a verse and lay it out in the verse, how the first part of the song, he's pretty much, you know, it's like he's introducing himself. He's introducing to it, like, cause I didn't even get it until I heard the second verse. How he finished that second verse, that wordplay on there was so fucking ill. Oh my god, I'm pretty sure y'all heard it. I can't say if you haven't heard it. If you ever heard it, check it out. But dog, his wordplay on that shit was so ill. And then at the last, Andre, this is Andre. Y'all gonna just have to make amends because it seemed like Andre 3000 on that song, like his Geminis was like fighting each other, like, you know what I'm saying, like battling each other in that one song. And I thought that concept of that was so fucking ill. Not only that, the beat was so dope too, and it was produced by, you know, Outkast themselves. You know, Andre 3000 and the musicians that he got for that album was so dope, man. Like, man, Aquemini was so ill, man. And you know, Big Boy, that Fast Sax, you know, they riding them Cadillacs. Like, man, like Big Boy fucking killed that shit too, man. Like, that song right there, musically, everything had that funky, that dark type of soul type shit going on, man. I loved it, man. Aquemini, definitely hands down my favorite joint on that album, along with some other ones I'm gonna talk about as well. And then, what other way to have an album sounding so funky and so soulful and so crazy than to put George Clinton on a joint with synthesizer? I thought that was definitely a dope song. I mean, the way that Outkast is, I think they were like one of the first groups, or, you know, first producers of Organized Noise, shout out to them, to like really incorporate, you know, live instrumentations, man. All they going back to Southern Playlist, Cadillac Funky Music, because that was in 93, 94. So, you know, back then it was so much sample heavy, drum machines, but like, in that time. So, but for them to kind of like really incorporate instrumentation, man, I think that just kind of took them, and it shot some good light on hip hop too, to let you know that, look, hip hop does have some true musicianship in the genre of music. So I think that was definitely good. But yeah, with synthesizer, George Clinton, man, and I'm a huge fan of George Clinton, the Parliament and all that. So I thought that was perfect example, the perfect way to throw him in there, because he fit that album so perfect, man, George Clinton. So yeah, synthesizer, another one of my favorite joints. Slump, another one of my good joints on there that I liked a lot on there. You know, a good way with Andre 3000 and Big Boy, you can definitely tell that they was really seasoned and took their time crafting this album, man. And you know, songs like Slump, and then Art of the Storytelling, part 1 and 2, where, you know, not only that these dudes can rhyme and show their southern flow, but they also can storytell as well. And then on the remix of part 1, they put Slick Rick. I wish they put that on the album version, but Slick Rick was on the Art of Storytelling, which he ended up naming his album in 99, that title, The Art of Storytelling. But yes, Art of Storytelling part 1 and 2 was dope. I thought that dope of the overdose, the girl having a drug overdose, was really some deep stuff, some heavy topics. They was really hitting on some heavy topics on this album, man. Like, yes. And then West Savannah, come to find out, I found this out like a couple of years later, that West Savannah was actually a song that Big Boy recorded during the Southern Playalistic, when they was recording Southern Playalistic album. And because I noticed when that song came on, I'm like, damn, Andre 3000 sound like younger. Like, he didn't sound his normal self heavy. He was sounding on the album. His voice sounded a little lighter on that album, on that particular song. So they'll come to find out, West Savannah was actually a song that he recorded during the Southern Playalistic Cadillac Funky Music era during that time. So West Savannah was dope. I thought it was a good way for Big Boy to kind of give us an insight of him coming from West Savannah. So I think that was dope. Now, if it was one song that I felt was a little out of place, or I guess my least favorite song on the whole album, would probably be Mamacita. I think Mamacita was probably my least favorite. What's her name? Medusa from Dungeon Family. She was featured on there, and didn't really care for her feature that much. She didn't really grab me that much. So if I was to pick a song that I pretty much didn't really care about, it wasn't whack. It was just, out of all of this going on so far in this album, Mamacita was the only one I think that would be the song I would probably take out. If that was to reduce it to 15 tracks. But that would be one song. Mamacita would definitely be the one I would take out. So I can live without that song. Okay, so remember I said Aquemini was my favorite joint. My other two favorite joints, another one, Spotty Yachty. I'm just gonna say Spotty Yachty. Another of my favorite joints, Spotty Yachty. Man, when the damn horns, oh god. And then like the way Andre and Big Boy was just like, they weren't even rapping. They were just talking. They were just talking real game, man. Just really just on some southern playlistic laid back shit. Like if you want to see the epitome of southern playlistic, I feel like Spotty Yachty is the perfect track that can I can just close my eyes and just visually, just the whole laid backness of it, just the, oh man. Oh, that song is so damn crazy, man. Like, I still play that shit and still shake my head in amazement how fucking dope that song. Sleepy Brown on there in the singing, I thought that shit was crazy as hell. Just, the epitome of funky, just some old Earth, Wind, and Fire type fucking George Clinton shit, man. That shit was so fucking dope. All the instrumentations on that shit was so fucking crazy, man. So that's another one of my favorite joints on this fucking album, Spotty Yachty. And then Y'all Scared, you know, of course, you gotta have some Goody Mob on there. You gotta have members on it. Yeah, Mr. Cujo and all them on there on Y'all Scared. Y'all Scared is a dope. That definitely put me in the old school dungeon. Like if they was in the dungeon, if y'all saw the Organized Noise documentary, if y'all saw the dungeon, I feel like they was literally in the dungeon in that basement, that dirt basement, recording that song. Definitely good feeling. If you not familiar with the Dungeon family or not familiar with them, that's definitely a good track. Goody Mob featuring the Goody Mob members on there, dope. And now my third favorite song on this album, freaking Liberation, man. Liberation, coming off with them damn pianos and the bass line and then you hearing CeeLo featuring CeeLo, Erykah Badu, and Big Road. Man, like that's another one of those tracks that you listen to and just be like, Jesus Christ, shake that load off, shake that, like I said, with this album, content-wise, Outkast was on another level, man. Like just a lot of you know, hard topics and stuff they was hitting on this album. And Erykah Badu, that was definitely a surprise. Well, not really a surprise, because this was during the time when Andre and Erykah Badu was pretty much kicking it or whatever. So, yeah, it was. This was right after her debut album, Bad Duzism. Hope I'm saying that right. But coming off of that, and yeah, seeing her featured on there was dope. I thought that was a dope touch. CeeLo was a dope touch. You know, that was during the time when CeeLo was starting to get more on his singing shit more or whatever. Not shit like that, like a bad thing, but you know, CeeLo was kind of separating himself too as far as his style and everything. But yeah, Liberation, man, Jesus. And then Big Robe at the end, same thing he did on Growing Old and ATLs, man. Just with that poem, just his poet. I love his poet. Like he should be a poet on every Outkast album that they come out with. Just poet. Just spit some real shit. Talk about some real shit, man. The Liberation was definitely a dope track, man. That's my third. Aquemini, Spotty Yachty, and Liberations were easily like my favorite tracks, man. And you know, what else can I say, man? Like this album really it grew on me musically on the way that I think not a lot of albums had grew on me at first. Because like I said, when I first listened to this album, I didn't. And I don't think, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think a lot of people, at least a lot of my peers, didn't receive it as much as, you know, Southern Playlistic or ATLians, because, you know, Aquemini was really showing musically that they were going somewhere else. And that was the album that you can tell, and if you listen to Stankonia and Love Below and Speakerbox, Aquemini definitely was the start of them kind of going to another place musically. You know what I'm saying? And it was interesting that they did this without, because you would think with Organized Noise is as far as much hands that they have in their music, you know, I would think it would have been from ATLians. But I mean, even though you saw a style change from ATLians from Southern Playlists to ATLians, but with this album, it was just another layer of what Outkast was able to do. And this album was definitely, I think, the most comfortable that these two sounded together, man. Like sometimes even with ATLians, because sometimes I find myself fighting you know, which album I always like better between Aquemini and ATLiens, Aquemini and ATLiens, because both of them are pretty much classics to me. But I always fight between both of them. Same way I do with Quest, with Midnight Marauders and Low End Theories. Like, I always fight. You know, Low End Theory might have a slight edge just because it's for personal reasons, but I don't argue no one if they say Midnight Marauders their best album, or if Outkast, if they say ATLiens their best album. You can't argue with that because the shit is fucking dope as hell. But yes, man, Aquemini, I can still talk. I want to try to make these videos as much as short as possible. I know y'all can probably tell by my happiness of what these albums and just how crazy hip hop albums was coming out back then, man. It's like, you wanted to make music back then, you listen to an Outkast album and you be like, maybe I shouldn't do this, because shit was coming out was so dope, man. It made you second guess yourself. So, and for them to really outdo Jay-Z and Tribe Called Quest on that day with who made the best album, even though it was all subjective, but I felt Outkast definitely made the better album of that release date, and to this day I still listen to that album and shake my head like crazy. So, you know, I don't know if they ever watched this. I don't ever see nobody really talk about it coming out that much as far as like making a review of it or talk about it in general, but I really feel like this was the album that Outkast stepped it up, and they did a damn thing, man. So shout out to you guys. Thank you back then for making a wonderful album and laying a staple in hip-hop genre overall, because not only is this like a best Southern album, you can also list it as one of the greatest, you know, one of the great just hip-hop albums. You know, you don't have to say Southern albums. So I just want to say thank you guys. Aquemini, definitely dope. Also, thank you guys for watching. Next month, I'm going to put up the voting for next month. I won't tell y'all what albums it is. Once I make the video and say, go vote, then y'all just go vote. But other than that, man, make sure y'all follow me on Twitter, comment, you know, let me know what y'all think of the album. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go listen to this album. If you an Outkast fan, if you like some of the newer stuff, go back. Just go back. Go back and listen to this. Go back and listen to this album. Go back and listen to this, man. I think you guys will definitely appreciate, you know, Outkast, some good musicianship. And the way Andre 1000 stepped it up on the production, man, they really took it up to another level. And, you know, there it is, man. So, this is your boy, Beezy430. Check y'all out in the next video. Peace.